Story time, story time, story time. Story time, story time, story time. Me no care what nobody want say. As long as a story time, take my seat, fold my legs, port my ears, it's story time. Hello, boys and girls. It is time for story. I want you to sit back, relax, and listen keenly. Today, Sister Nersan will be reading a story for you. And so I want you to sit back and enjoy the story. Okay? All right.
Today's story is entitled The Town Mouse and the Country Mouse, illustrated by Andy Rowland. A little mouse who lived in a busy, bustling town was on a train to the country. He was going to visit his cousin. The town mouse was excited as he has never been to the country before. Meanwhile, the country mouse was hard at work preparing for the town mouse's visit. After a long journey, the town mouse arrived. The cousins greeted each other joyfully. Hello. The country mouse showed off her home in a tree trunk. It was simple but warm and cozy. It doesn't look much like my home, the town mouse said. Once the town mouse had rested, the country mouse took him to meet the farm animals next door. They crowded around to greet him. Curious, the horse lowered his head and sniffed at the town mouse. Watch it, he cried. He wasn't keen on these new animals. That evening, the country mouse served a dinner of bread and cheese. It was not at all like the fancy meals the town mouse was used to. All night, the town mouse tossed and turned in his bed of leaves. He was used to sleeping in a much softer bed. How do you put up with this? The town mouse asked in the morning. Your food is plain and you sleep on leaves. Come to the town with me and I'll show you how to live. The country mouse was eager to see the town, so she agreed. The town mouse lived in a grand house in the middle of the town. The country mouse was amazed. Inside, the town mouse proudly showed off his home. It was very comfortable. The town mouse began a tour of the house in the kitchen. In the kitchen, they spotted a cat prowling around. Hide, the town mouse whispered. Shh. They scurried under a cup. Here they waited, hardly daring to breathe. At last, the cat stalked away. That was close, exclaimed the country mouse, trembling. Next, they crept into the living room. There were people there watching a bright, glowing screen. The country mouse gazed at it. She had never seen anything like it. In the playroom, there were all kinds of toys. The country mouse knocked over a tower of building blocks, which came tumbling down. Crash! They then went to the dining room. on the table they found a delicious looking feast. There were sandwiches and pies, cakes and biscuits, everything that was good to eat. The mice helped themselves. I have never had food like this before, mumbled the country mouse. The town mouse laughed. This is how you could eat all the time, he replied. Yummy! Suddenly, the mice heard growling and scratching at the door. Two dogs burst in, sniffling the air. The dogs began to bark, jumping up at the table. The mice scampered away in fear. Enough was enough. The country mouse said goodbye and left the town mouse at once. Goodbye. Better to live in peace than richly in fear, she said. The end.